Hey guys, Greg Alexander getting back to you with another video today. Haven't been making as many videos lately, just life has been a little bit hectic, work and everything. So I'm going to try to be consistent here through this little stage, but I'll pick back up with more regular videos as time goes on. But today I wanted to talk about something that's extremely important if you like to catch fish, if you like to catch bass, if you like to fish tournaments, or if you just like to go out and catch fish. Some of you eat your fish, some of you just like to fish for fun. It applies to everything because this is about catching fish. But practice. A lot of people put too much emphasis on what they did in practice pre-fishing for a tournament, or if it's not practice, the last time you went fishing, you did this, you did that, and you're going to go back and do it again. And I have to say, if you put too much emphasis on what you did in practice, most of the time, you're going to fail next time you go out. How do I know this? Been doing it for a long time. And practice fish almost never translate into tournament fish or even next day fish. I'll give you some examples. I went fishing years ago on this one river, wasn't doing real good. Saw a guy catching some fish on some stuff, so being the poacher that I am, I thought, well, I'm going to do what he does. And so I started doing what he was doing, and I made a couple modifications. I caught a load of fish, like 30, 40 fish in 3 or 4 hours. So it was so fun, I thought, well, I'm going to bring a buddy back with me tomorrow. Got a friend of mine, he went fishing with me the next day. I said, this is what we need to do, man. Yesterday I caught 30, 40 fish doing this. So we tied these lures on that these fish were biting, went to the same places and caught like three the very next day. 3. Changed up, even did some different things, caught like 3. It doesn't translate. Practice doesn't translate into tournament victories most of the time. Now, there are some exceptions. You know, deep fish tend not to move as much. Unpressured fish tend not to move as much. Fish that are bent on being somewhere, like going to the beds, you know, they're going to be a little bit more predictable. But almost every tournament that I have ever won in my life, a lot of them I pre-fished for, a lot of them I didn't pre-fish for. I just went on history. The win came when I did something different than what I expected to do to win the tournament or to do well in the tournament the morning the tournament started. Did something different. Went to a different place, tried a different lure, did something different technique, changed line size, changed size of bait, did something, made a modification. So what I'm saying is, if you want to be successful fishing, if you want to be successful in tournaments, pre-fishing for tournaments, don't get hung up on what you did in practice. Does it matter that you caught them in practice? Sure. Practice does this for you. Practice lets you know general areas, general baits, general time of day, general tides, if you're fishing tidal rivers, that these fish are going to do certain things. But thinking that I caught a fish off of this log in practice 2 days ago, I should be able to go back to that log in 2 days and catch another one, and you go back to it 6 times during the day, and you never catch that fish. You get too concerned, you get too hung up on what you did in practice. Now, when I finished 3rd in the Eastern Divisional, Eastern Open on Kissimmee a couple years ago, I practiced 5 days for that tournament. Fished all the lakes, Toho, Cypress, Hatchinall, Tiger Lake, Kissimmee. I fished them all. And I had a very so-so practice. Very so-so practice. Thought I could catch 11 or 12 pounds a day. Maybe get a check. And the first day of the tournament, I ran to a spot that I had the most bites in. And I caught like 9 pounds off of that spot. Nothing. Wouldn't even, it would put me in 80th, 90th place probably after the first day. And so then I ran to another area where I had some bites and didn't get bit. And so I thought, well, what do I do now? And I looked around and I thought, well, that looks good. I'll fish that. Well, I hadn't fished that in practice. Went to it, flipped in there, caught a 5-pounder. Gave me 13 something, put me in like 30th place the first day of the tournament. On one cast to a spot that I hadn't fished in 5 days of practice. Okay. Because it looked right. I didn't go, well, I didn't fish that in practice, so I'm not going to fish it during the tournament because I didn't fish it in practice. Well, it looked right. How do you find stuff in practice? How do you find stuff when you're practicing? Right? You try this, you try that, you do this bait, you go this deep, you go this shallow, you try everything, you mix it up. And if you stop practicing, when the tournament starts, for the most part, you're probably going to lose. You're going to lose because fish move, fish change. A guy, very wise redneck, told me years ago, this ain't no Easter egg hunt. They ain't where you left them. They're not where you left them. Just because you caught them there yesterday don't mean they're going to be there tomorrow or the next day. So you just got to keep practicing. So then, the second day of this Toho tournament, where I finished third, Eastern Open. 225 guys fishing, 225 co-anglers. Went to my same spot that I started on the first day. Did all right, did a little better than I did the first day. Went to the next spot, didn't get bit. Went to where I caught the 5-pounder the day before. I did catch one there, but it was a little one. And I thought, well, if I'm going to succeed in this tournament, I got to do something different than I did in practice, because in practice I'm only catching like maybe 10, 11 pounds a day. And that's about what I had, maybe a little bit better the second day. So I said, I got to do something different. So I started all over again the second day of the tournament. And I thought, well, that looks good over there. Let me go over there. And I worked this little area and caught a couple decent fish. And I saw something that kind of stood out to me as a little bit different. And ended up catching, I believe, the biggest bag of the second day of the tournament, 19 pounds. I believe it was the biggest bag. If not, it was second biggest bag. Either way. And jumped me all the way from 30th place to 6th place in the tournament. And then the last day of the tournament, I kind of expanded a little bit more and had the second biggest bag of the day, the last day, and went up to 3rd place in the tournament. Actually tied for 2nd. Got beat on the tiebreaker, which was biggest single day catch, which a guy had the first day, 19.5, I had 19 pounds. But my point is, I didn't do what I did. I did what I did in practice to get a base limit, but then I expanded on that during the tournament because it looked right. So until you understand that you just gotta go fishing, if you get stuck on practice, you know, this is going to be the story, because I told this story. Man, I caught them so good in practice, and then when the tournament came, I couldn't get them. I told that story many times. Did I tell that story? Because it was true. I whacked them in practice, and then I expected to whack them the same way in the tournament, and I didn't. So what I needed to do, and which I have done many times, is, okay, I'm just going to fish what looks good today, what feels right today, what today's conditions dictate compared to what practice conditions dictated, and then you succeed. You know, if you practice for 3 days under cloudy skies and you're whacking them on a walking bait or a popper or a frog or a buzz bait, you know, and then tournament day, it's calm and clear, and you're counting on that, you're going to lose. You know, if in practice the wind blew every day and you were whacking them on a spinnerbait or a chatterbait, and then the tournament comes and it's calm, and you try to make them bite the spinnerbait or the chatterbait again because that's what you did in practice, you're probably going to lose. So what I'm telling you is you have to adjust to the condition. So what does practice do for you? Practice gives you an idea. The best thing that practice can do for you is eliminate areas. That area is no good. I went there, spent time there. The water's muddy. There doesn't appear to be any bait. It doesn't appear like it's going to be any better. Or I went to that area and man, it's getting so much pressure. I don't think I want to spend my time there unless I'm just interested in catching some fish and maybe getting a check. I'm going to join the crowd. Practice also helps you refine certain baits. Okay, this area of the lake that seems to hold fish, this area of the river that seems to hold fish, I can get them to bite this particular bait. I can't get them to bite these particular baits under these conditions. So if I get these conditions, at least I know what baits I should be throwing. Whereas if you didn't practice, you don't know what the watercolor's like, you don't know what the water temperature is, you don't know where the pressure is and where the pressure isn't from other fishermen. You don't know these things, then you have to kind of sort that out during the tournament. So what practice ultimately does for you is saves you some time during the tournament of doing just the dumb stuff, the stuff that's just not going to play at all. But it doesn't refine the spots. I don't believe when I'm talking about spots, I'm talking about spot. I caught one on that tree. Okay, well there's 6 trees down the bank. You didn't catch them on any but that tree. But when the tournament comes, you go back to that one tree and fish it 6 times and ignore the other 5. Well, fish move, right? So they're liable to be in all them other trees the other day, but you won't fish them because you didn't catch anything in those trees in practice. But those trees look just like this one, and they're right next to it. See, that's what people will do. They'll get practice paralyzed. I've done it. That's why I'm telling you. I have done this. You get practice paralyzed, and you think, well, I didn't catch them there in practice, so I can't go back to it, even though everything seems right about it. And you'll zone in on one little thing. So these are the things you have to understand to be a successful tournament fisherman, or to be just a successful fisherman in general, is keep practicing even during the tournament. Now, sure, you're going to go try your areas that produce for you in practice. You're going to try them. But man, I'm going to give you another example. I fished a Bass Nation Eastern Divisional, 180 boats, on the Chesapeake Bay, the Upper Bay. A lot of you guys are getting ready to fish this tournament. I'm getting ready to fish this tournament on the Upper Bay, the Eastern Open, here in a couple weeks. And I had found some good fish in the grass. Some of those fish were on spots that I knew were getting a lot of pressure, so I didn't count on them a whole lot. And others were on spots that weren't getting a lot of pressure, so I thought I could catch those fish. And then I had also found some shallow wood fish in practice. So I ran to these grass fish in the morning, and I cycled through 1, 2, 3, 4 areas where I thought I could catch fish, and I never had a bite. Now, it's tidal estuary. They may have bit a little bit later, but me being one of the most impatient fishermen in the world, I wasn't going to continue to recycle through areas that I didn't get a bite on today, because today was different for some reason. So I completely abandoned that, and that was my A game, those 3 or 4 spots. And that was my A game. Completely abandoned that and ran to shallow wood and caught 18.5 pounds. Was in, I don't know, top 10 anyhow the first day. Maybe top 5 even. Second day, still thinking about practice. And now I caught 20 pounds one day in practice out on the areas in the grass. Still thinking about that as my A game. So second day I thought, well, maybe I'll get my timing right today. So I'm going to go through those grass areas in an opposite order that I went through them the first day. Went through them in the opposite order that I went through them the first day. Never had a bite. Abandoned it again and went pre-fishing and caught 18 pounds pre-fishing. So now I'm in, I think, 6th place in the tournament, 180 boats. And so the last day I went, forget that grass. I'm not going to it again. I'm just going to fish what I think feels right. And I fished what I thought felt right the last day, and I moved up to 4th place. Caught the fire out of them the last day just dumb fishing. What felt right to me. And so if I would have been stuck on what I did in practice, I'm liable to finish the 100th because I might not have caught them at all. But I let the day tell me this is not happening today. This is not happening today. So I have to do something different. So the key is with practice, and the key is with tournaments. Practice means nothing. Today is the only thing that matters. Today, it's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It doesn't matter what you did 3 days ago in practice. None of that matters. Like I said, you can try it. None of that matters. What matters is, what are the fish doing today? You have to be able to figure the fish out today every time you go fishing. Just get that in your head. Today, I'm figuring them out. Today, I'm going to figure out what these fish are doing. Are they hitting a Senko today? Are they hitting a crankbait today? Are they hitting a spinnerbait today? Are they on top today? Are they hitting a jig, or does a jig got to be a swim jig? Is the color right? Am I fishing it deep enough? Am I fishing it too slow? Am I fishing it too fast? Today, you figure it out. And you know what? Some days, you just won't get enough clues to put it together. You just won't. We all don't have a good day every time we go fishing. But you'll have way more success fishing if you figure the fish out every single day than you will if you count on your practice fish. So this will help you. Take me seriously. This is real good stuff that I'm telling you. Lures are not the key to winning tournaments and catching fish. And that sounds crazy. I know it does. Lures are not the key. Ultimately, you're going to catch them on lures. But, you know, all these YouTube videos, and I watch them, and I even do YouTube videos on different lures and how to fish them. But secret lures will only carry you about this far. New techniques will only carry you about this far. The fishing world is constantly moving and constantly changing. Lures are just tools, right? That's like, you know, you need a hammer to build a house, but you have to have the know-how to put it all together. But you can't do it without a hammer, right? You can't do it without a nail gun. You can't do it without these tools. But all those tools mean nothing in the hands of somebody who doesn't understand the process, doesn't understand what's going on. So the key to fishing is understanding what's going on. Well, how do you understand what's going on? Well, of course, you educate yourself as much as possible, but personal experience, on-the-job training, on-the-water training is the way to develop understanding. Fishing on days that maybe aren't optimal for you. Fishing on days when there's a lot of pressure. Fishing on days when you're tired. Fishing under all these different situations and circumstances. Mixing it up and figuring it out. Building that baseline of experience that you have enough experience on enough different bodies of water enough different tidal situations, enough different time of year, seasonal patterns, spawn, pre-spawn, post-spawn, summer, winter, fall, all these different seasons in different areas, that you now have the knowledge to take these tools, this spinnerbait, this jig, this worm, these different hooks and weights and rods and reels, and take these tools, which are useless in the hands, again, of people who don't know how to put it together, and now you have the ability to put it together. If you think you're going to watch a YouTube video and somebody tells you, well, this is the best lure I've ever thrown in my life, and you just go out and start throwing that lure and think you're just going to be a better fisherman because you're throwing that lure, you're probably fooling yourself. Probably fooling yourself. So these are things we have to understand if you want to be a better fisherman. And on another note, if you think lures are the key to winning tournaments, not true. I fish a lot of tournaments. You can walk down the line of boats tied up to the bulkhead or the ramp area or wherever it is that you're fishing in the morning. And if they've got the rods out, everybody's got the same thing tied on, right? Maybe little variations. Everybody's got a frog, everybody's got a buzzbait, everybody's got a spinnerbait or a chatterbait, everybody's got a worm or a jig, everybody's got a crankbait, everybody's got some type of topwater tied on. Then there may be little variations here, or a rattle trap, or whatever, brush hog, you know, different things. Everybody's got it tied on. Black and blue jig, green pumpkin jig, Senko's, green pumpkin, black and blue. Everybody's got the same thing tied on, for the most part. Lures don't win tournaments. Understanding what's going on, staying on the move until you figure these fish out, is how you win tournaments. Figure them out every day. Don't get stuck on practice, and you will be a better fisherman. You will win more tournaments. You will put more fish in the boat. You'll beat your competitors, and you'll have a whole lot more fun doing it. Again, I thank you for watching, and have a blessed day.